I want to talk to you a little bit about books and about reading. I published a video recently about some changes this channel is going through, and in that video I suggested that I might publish some videos about some books and ideas that I've been thinking about, and there was quite a positive response to that in the comments to that video, but also in personal conversations where people encouraged me to do exactly that. So I thought I'd start by sharing some thoughts about my approach to reading and what I intend to do with videos in the future about ideas, authors, and books. Now, I am quite an ardent reader, but I've also given up on the idea that everybody should read more books. Now, I remain convinced that everyone should read, but that does not mean that everyone should read several books per month. This is because we all have different personalities with different characteristics, different talents, and different approaches to learning. I'm a firm believer in the idea that there are different forms of intelligence, which is, by the way, why I think that IQ is overrated. Because I've come to discover, and I remain convinced, that people learn in different ways. That some people prefer to learn by reading books, while others prefer to learn by doing things physically with their hands, by making mistakes and learning from their mistakes. Others learn by watching documentaries or listening to podcasts. And others learn by having conversations with people or observing what people do. Now, we ought to learn by all of these means. Each of us would certainly approach learning in our own unique way. So I don't believe that there is a right or a wrong way to learn, other than to say that there are many ways in which we can learn and that we should use all of them with an emphasis on the ways that we prefer. And this is just one of the many great things of being part of a community. We get to learn and develop and contribute in our own unique ways, while others get to learn, develop and contribute in their unique ways. And as a result, we can learn from one another. And in this dynamic, our blind spots and our weaknesses are compensated for due to the fact that we each have something unique to contribute in our own unique ways. And so we are stronger together, as the cliche goes. And so with that, let me give a broad overview of my approach to reading and to thinking about what I have read and what I also plan on doing with videos on this channel in which I discuss certain ideas. I want to do this with reference to 5 quotes about reading. But before I get to the quotes, let me just say that I have no intention of doing neutral or objective or comprehensive book reviews on this channel. My intention is to discuss certain things that I have learned, that I have taken as key points or lessons from certain books, and also to discuss books or authors who I believe have erred in their approach or analysis. But I would like to do this not as a one-way channel of communication, but to share my ideas and to get your feedback and to have a conversation going about these ideas. So let's get to the quote. The first is by Edmund Burke, the man often described as the father of conservatism, who said that reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting. And there's an important lesson in this. There's no point in just trying to read as many books as you possibly can if you don't spend time thinking about what you have read. It's better to read one book slowly and to think about every page, to contemplate what you have read, than to just try and rush through it as soon as you can so that you can get to the next one. The second quote is by Lord Acton, who said that we should learn by reading, but we should also learn by writing. Now, there is an important lesson in this, which is that reading something and thinking about it and contemplating about an idea is one thing, but actually putting your thoughts down in writing gives a whole new dimension to your thoughts, because writing about what you have been thinking about forces you to structure your thoughts and enables you to talk about it with much more confidence. But I would like to interpret Lord Acton's quote a bit broader by saying that it's not only about writing, but about doing. Reading is one thing, but we have to go out and physically and actually do things in the real world based on what we have read. And if we don't do that, then we should ask ourselves, what is the point in reading? The third quote is not by Lord Acton, but about Lord Acton. It has been said about him that his reading got in the way of his writing. And this links to the point about reading and then going out and doing something based on what you have read. And this builds up to the fourth quote, which is by none other than Mao Zedong, who said that reading too many books is harmful. Now, in a sense, we could say that Mao Zedong was hypocritical when he said this, because he was an ardent reader himself. In fact, he even had his bed specially made or altered to make it easier for him to be able to pick up and put down books on a particular section and to be more comfortable when reading while in bed. Now, regardless of who said this or the context in which it was said, there is something valuable in the comment that reading too many books could be harmful. This is often described as the paradox of knowledge, which teaches that too much learning and reading could lead to information overload and intellectual burnout. So reading for the sake of reading leaves no room for reflecting, as Edmund Burke said, and it also leaves no room for writing or acting on what you have read, as Lord Acton has said. And so the fifth quote I want to share with you is on a slightly more philosophical note by Roger Scruton, who wrote about reading within the bigger context of culture and civilization, when he said that contemplation is not a means to an end, but an end in itself. Now, in a sense, this contradicts my earlier comments that we have to read for the sake of acting upon what we have read. Scruton takes a slightly different approach. He does not deny that we can and should act based upon what we have learned through our reading, but he underlines the importance of recognizing that reading is not only us in our state of potentiality, but also us in our state of actuality, to reference Aristotle's famous dictum. In our state of potentiality, we have the potential to go out and do certain things. And in our state of actuality, we have done the things that we were born to do. Now, we are never completely in a state of actuality, nor completely in a state of actuality. We are always moving somewhere along the line from potentiality to actuality. And so what Scruton says is that we should also recognize that reading and contemplating on the bigger ideas is not only us in our state of potentiality, but also in our state of actuality. Scruton explains it like this. What purpose is served by business, and when is that purpose fulfilled? For Aristotle, the answer was clear. You work in order to free yourself for leisure, and in leisure you are truly free. Free to pursue the contemplative life which, for Aristotle, was the highest good. So I'll leave it at that as some food for thought, but I'd love to hear your comments on this, and I'll see you soon when I share some ideas based on some of my own reading.